to get rolling here.
You've been very impressed.
All right, if I could ask you to give me your attention for a couple of minutes. I am going to use the mic. Anybody that comes up front that prefers not to use the mic, you know, by all means, but I know for Mr. Bruno's, on behalf of Mr. Bruno and Laura, we're kind of looking to use the mic just so that when this gets reproduced in the form of a DVD, the sound quality is up there. My name is Ed Cromer. I'm the athletic director at Tenafly High School, and thank you. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate your efforts in making it down here this evening. I think you'll probably hear that from a few people. But we must start the evening. There's one person in here, and he's got a bunch of other people outside. They truly saved the day for us today, and that's Mr. Vinny Beninati, who is our Buildings and Grounds Supervisor and is sitting over to my right. And this morning and throughout the course of the day, as the weather forecast kept getting more and more foreboding, Vinny was extremely calm and very comforting in saying, don't worry, we are going to be able to take care of this. We'll have the place, you know, cleared as best we can and make it possible for everybody to get in here. And I certainly think he and his guys did that. So we are so very thankful for Mr. Beninati and all of the maintenance guys that have put in their effort here today. So, welcome. We're going to start the evening with the national anthem, and we have a real treat for us because Bridget Cohan, who's going to sing the national anthem, has done it in this gym for the past 4 years. Some of you who live in Tenafly may very well have seen her on Channel 77 throughout the course of these past 4 years. She graduated from Tenafly High School last year. She was and I'm not going to embarrass you, but I am going to go through some of your credits here. She was a 12-letter earner here at Tenafly High School. Girls soccer, girls basketball, softball. She was a member of 2 championship softball teams, and she was our representative last year at the Pines Manor in Edison at the NJSIAA Scholar Athlete Luncheon. And most appropriately, as you'll see in the program, last winter, she was the recipient of the Red Littler Award, which is given, and I'll mention it a couple of times, which is given to a varsity athlete in every sports season. So please, rise, the flag is in that direction, and let's pay tribute to America as Bridget Cohan sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Bridget. I have to tell you that not only has Bridget been doing that for the past 4 years before every girls' basketball game, but there have been several other occasions when she's honored us with that rendition. And one of them happens to be the Bergen County Round of 16 Jamboree, which those of you who are old-timers realize that the Jamboree dates way back here in Bergen County. And Bridget comes in front of a packed house and sings that national anthem. And one of the real treats on that day is you all know at Yankee Stadium, who's the voice of Yankee Stadium? Bob Shepard. Well, in Bergen County, there's a man by the name of Joe Hausman, who is the voice of Bergen County, does a lot of different top-of-the-line athletic events. And he comes here and he does the PA system, or does the PA announcing during the Jamboree. And I wish Debbie could be here on one occasion, because when he starts out, and he welcomes everybody to the Eugene Red Littler Gymnasium, it is the most resounding and most powerful person that you can hear when he does that. And I liken him to Bob Shepard, because when you hear Joe Hausman do it, it has a great ring to it. Terry Burke does it when we do the boys' basketball games, and the late J.P. Mullen used to do it and do justice when we had wrestling and girls' basketball. So we hear that all the time, but I wish you could come sometime and hear Joe Hausman do it, because he just does a spectacular job with it. Once again, on behalf of the Tenafly High School Athletic Department, the school and community, we welcome you to this dedication ceremony. Tonight, you're going to hear from a number of people who were impacted by Red during his magnificent career at Tenafly. The list of accomplishments etched into the plaque truly only scratches the surface of the mark Red left on Tenafly, his athletes, his former students, the track community in Bergen County, the state of New Jersey, and certainly the Northeast, his fellow athletic administrators in the county and the state, and most importantly, his family. Those folks who you'll hear from as the evening proceeds will no doubt further establish that fact. Before I introduce the other speakers, and you all have a program again, which was just an outstanding rendition, and our thanks to Mr. Bruno on that effort for sure. But before I introduce our other guest speakers, Debbie, I've got a few presentations I'd like to make to you. Mr. Frank Baldacchino, who held the same position as your dad at Dumont High School throughout the 70s and 80s, sends his best wishes, and but for the weather, would have been here tonight to assist me. As you know, Debbie, on December 1st, Mr. Terry Burke and myself had the distinct honor of attending the annual NJSIAA Hall of Fame luncheon at the Pines Manor in Edison, at which time your dad joined Mr. Baldacchino as he was inducted into the NJSIAA Bollinger Hall of Fame. Since 1996, 94, and again, do the math, only 94 in the state of New Jersey, their most revered athletes, coaches, athletic administrators have been inducted into the NJSIAA Hall of Fame. Red not only joins Frank, but many other Jersey greats like Joe Theismann, Franco Harris, Cliffside Park's Bruce Elia, Ridgewood's Ann Donovan, Carl Lewis, just to name a few of his fellow Hall of Famers. Terry, if you'd come down and help me. There were 2 presentations that were made on that day, and Deb, if you could come up for a second. The first is a medal in which Eugene Red Littler's name is emblazoned across the middle of it. That was the first of the awards, and the second one, I don't know if it goes with the outfit. It looks good. And the second one, the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association honors Eugene Red Littler upon induction as a member of the Hall of Fame class of 2008. So again, on behalf of the NJSIA, Debbie, congratulations. Additionally, the Directors of Athletics Association of New Jersey has a Hall of Fame, and they have tapped Red to be a member of their 2009 class. This is only their second class of inductees. Last March, the initial group of 12 former athletic directors were inducted into their Hall of Fame, and this March at the Borgata in Atlantic City, Red will be among 10 Hall of Famers that will be honored at the Borgata as well. And that's the one item, and we were trying so hard, as Sam will recall, throughout the course of the fall. We were really waiting until the 11th hour before the plaque went to bed so that we could try to get that on there. We did miss it, but that is indeed yet another honor that will put Red in a very, very elite company come this March. For me personally, I arrived in Tenafly from upstate New York in June of 1979. Took part in a number of interviews, and some of you who are here will remember these names. Dr. Knippel, Dr. Smith at the middle school, Dr. Wallum at central office, and with the Tenafly High School athletic director, Mr. Red Littler. We chatted in Larry Morgan's office at the middle school, and he explained to me that the boys' basketball program was a little bit down at the time, but he believed that there were a number of promising athletes in the building that could help me put the program back on the right track. There were some terrific, hardworking young men my first couple of years, Doc Ippolito, Timmy Fulner, and others, but it took a while before we actually experienced any success. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until the year after Red retired that we made it to the state tournament. We played a home game in this gymnasium, which was then called the Littler Gymnasium. Mr. Billings was on the clock, I'm sure. We defeated Newton High School in this gym, and one of the first people to greet me after the game with a congratulatory handshake was Red Littler. And it's one of those classic moments that as a coach, you just never forget. He stood in the corner, enjoyed the game with a lot of other spectators, but to me, coming up to me after the game, it just made for a good night even more special. Red was always there for his coaches. He possessed a commanding presence as a leader, a role model, as an educator, and a legend. And sometimes that word is thrown around a little bit too carelessly. There is no doubt that Red Littler is a legend, whose name will always be synonymous with Tenafly High School athletics. As the athletic director at Tenafly High School for nearly 3 decades, he is indeed the founder of the modern era of interscholastic athletics at Tenafly High School, as it says on the plaque. Unfortunately, the weather has played havoc with the availability of some of our speakers tonight. Pinch hitting for Tenafly High School Principal Dr. Dora Contianis is Miss Ellen Nelson, a former coach under Red, a member of the Tenafly High School Hall of Fame, currently the chair of the math department, who will be speaking on behalf of Dr. Contianis.
Yeah, after 30 years of living about 10 feet from the school, Dora moved out to North Haledon, and it seemed like it was going to be a snowy trip for her to get back here tonight. But it was appropriate for me to take her place tonight because she and I started teaching together. In 1978, we started at Tenafly, along with another member of the phys ed department that worked under Red, Darla Lawler. Some of you may remember her. And Dora says her first memory of Red, Mr. Littler, is one that actually had me frightened of him. Ellen and I came to THS together in 1978. Mr. Littler was part of our orientation. He was supposed to explain attendance and discipline policies and procedures in what should have perhaps taken 2 hours in order to understand. Attendance alone, what one does when a student is tardy, what one does when a student is absent, which of the 10 books to check in, what are you supposed to tell Joy Vote about a cut? Okay, it took Red 1.5 minutes to explain that, and out he walked. We looked at each other and thought, what have we gotten ourselves into? It took little time, however, to find out that Red, Mr. Littler, was not a roaring tiger, but a pussycat at heart. Speaking of his heart, it was made of gold. Dora says, I have many fond memories of Red, and I'm proud to have worked with someone who had such a positive impact on so many lives, including mine. I share those early memories of Red, but I also share memories as a coach. My interview for a volleyball coach, and Red was the person who was here when women's sports started at Tenafly. And my interview with him consisted of, do you know how to hit the ball? And I said, yes, and he says, okay, great. And the very first game we played in this gym, he came up to me and he said, well, I don't know if you can hit the ball, but you can teach them how to hit the ball, so that's what we need. We had great success under him. You know, he gave coaches a lot of freedom in terms of trying to get involved in hiring good officials. There are so many bad ones. And just, you know, trying to work with the parents, he gave us a lot of freedom. That is a role that was established and has been followed through by Buzz Ferkser and Ed Cromer. I mean, we've just had great athletic directors at this school. And he was always very supportive. I also coached track with Gordon Wallace, who's here, and Bobby Waterman and Marty McGlincy. And my funniest memory of him coaching track is that he would always find the money for us to enter these tournaments. These, you know, there was another championship meet, and you can go to the meet, no problem, but he could never find money for transportation. So he'd always say, you can go, but you'll have to take a couple of wagons. That was his patent expression, take a couple of wagons. None of us had wagons. And Bobby Waterman did at one point, but it had dog hair all in the back of it, and the kids didn't want to ride back there. But we would literally throw the kids in our car, holding pole vaults and javelins out the windows, down Route 4 to Hackensack, drop them off, turn around, come back and pick up another load. You know, but Red always wanted the kids to be able to compete. You know, he had all the best interest, especially on the track. He had their best interest at heart. And you know, it was fun working for him as an athletic director. Working for him as a teacher, and he was the disciplinarian person. You know, at this time of year, I think about, there's a great movie, White Christmas, and the guy's in the army. And the housekeeper, at one point, he's fussing at her, and she says, it took, you know, 18,000 men in the army to take my place. And I sort of feel like that way with Red. He wore so many hats. It just takes so many people to do all the things he did. The disciplinarian part of it, the number of students that he set on the right path, or that he encouraged to go into the military or to do something worthwhile, that might have been kids who didn't have a chance to do something else. It was phenomenal. His idea of discipline was a little bit more forthright than what we are allowed to do today, but you know, he was amazing, and kids respected him, and they followed what he said, and it was phenomenal. I had a lot of experience with Red, and I truly value the time that I had working with him. And I'm proud that I was able to add to the athletic success for him and for the students in Tenafly. So, on behalf of Dr. Contianis, Dora, thank you so much for being here, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Ellen. Ellen may not admit this, but if you look on the banners at the volleyball banners, which sit right below that backstop or that basketball backboard, the first Oh, I'm going to say how many, Alan? Probably half of those that are up there are when she was the head coach. So she definitely took